This is the W5FC repeater, PL110.9.
Whiskey Tango Echo.
Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Anyone need to use the repeater before we begin the 9 p.m. Skynet? This is KF5 PDS. My name is Billy, and I'll be your net control for this session of ARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the # break and your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me. And stations are reminded that the ID at the end of your transmissions. Weekly net operates on 146.880 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Go to www.w5fc.org right now for the complete list, and remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur to participate. The net is 90 minutes long and is structured in several parts. General announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas, where and when you can look through a telescope, National Space Society events, discussion topic of the evening, What's Up, space exploration and space history, Constellation of the week, space launches of the week, recent astronomical discoveries, visible satellite passages over the next couple of days, astronomical Q&A, and our 73 rounds. All amateurs licensed to transmit on this frequency are to check in, so at this time I will turn the net over to my alternate net control, Tom, KE5ICX, if you will do the check-in honors, please, from KF5 PDS.
Thank you, Billy, and thank you for doing the net this evening. This is KE5ICX. My name's Tom. I'll be your alternate net control station this evening. We'll go ahead and start with low-power short-time check-in. If you're one of those, we'd like you to check in now with your call sign phonetically, your name, where you're transmitting from. Let me know if you're low-power short-time.
Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo Foxtrot Golf, Mobile, short time.
N8WWR, Romy in Grapevine, low power and short time, 1 watt, N8WWR.
This is 5 Mike Charlie Delta, Cody in Dallas, low power.
This is Whiskey 5 Golf Uniform Sierra, Gus, far, far northeast Dallas, low power.
This is Kilo India 5 Zulu Oscar Echo Tommy from Balch Springs on low power.
My, we had a healthy check-in on low power short time. I'm going to need a couple of fills here, though. Let me go ahead and get whom I've got. First off, I've got, let's see here. We'll start with WA5RFG. I believe that's Roland. I'll put you down for low power. N8WWR, that's Romy. He's low power short time grapevine. And I had Cody. You got covered over, so I got you up Dallas low power. Cody, give me your call again, please.
Kilo 5, Mike, Charlie, Delta, Cody in Dallas.
Thank you. K5MCD, Cody in Dallas. I got you. And I got W5GUS, that's Gus in far, far northeast Dallas. I got KI5ZOE. That's Tommy. You said Bow Springs, low power, is that right?
Yeah, Balch Springs, which is south of Mesquite. And I'm thinking low power means if I have a handheld 5 watts. Is that correct, or does it mean something else? Thank you, KI5ZOE.
Yeah, you've got it. Generally speaking, low power means handy talkie or just simply low power. We ask that up front in case your batteries wear out or you disappear into the ether. That's what that's all about. I do have you checked in, and I'll be calling on you guys in just a second. Anyone else low power short time, please come down.
Kilo, Golf, 5, Uniform, Foxtrot, Romeo, Jacob, Farmers Branch, short time and low power.
Kilo India 5, Uniform, Juliet, Dustin in Dallas, low power.
Kilo Indigo 5, Zulu, Kilo Lima, low power, Brian, North Dallas.
All right, we picked up 3 more. I've got KG5UFR, that's Jacob, Farmers Branch, short time low power, KI5UUJ, Justin, Dallas, low power, KI5ZKL, Brian, low power, Dallas. Boy, that's a record on low power short time. I'm going to go ahead and ask, any of you who have checked in have anything you want to bring to the net now before you disappear into the ether? That could be announcements and bulletins. If you do, please come with your call again. All right, hearing none, let me go ahead and take general check-ins. We'll take those now. If you please come with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James in Carrollton.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Zulu, Bravo Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch.
Kilo India 5, Papa Golf Mike, Travis, Garland.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas.
Interesting check-ins this evening. So, nothing wrong with anybody who's checked in, just the way they're coming in. KG5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James, in Carrollton. There we go. Got to read my own handwriting. KI5ZBL, Mr. Bill, Farmers Branch. KI5PGM, Travis and Garland. And T5TM, Tony in Dallas. Additional check-ins, please come out.
November 5, Bravo, Bravo. Bill in Irving.
All right, I got N5BB, Bill, over in Irving, probably from his new abode. All right, let's see. Let's go over to Echolink. I'll take Echolink check-ins now. I will give you extra time. Please come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from. Echolink only, please.
This is Kilo 5, Kilo Tango X-Ray Kelly in Quinlan for a short time more.
Golf 5, Zulu Mike Golf, Joe in Arlington.
Is Kilo Fox 5, November X-Ray Romeo, John, Caddo Mills.
Very good. We picked up 3 over on Echolink. K5KTX, it's Miss Kelly in Quinlan. KG5ZMG, Joe in Arlington. Welcome, Joe. KF5NXR, that's John in Caddo Mills. Welcome, John. I will now open it up to anybody who would like to check in any mode. Please come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, where you're transmitting from.
November Victor 5, Foxtrot, Virginia in Fort Worth.
All right, I picked up NV5F, that's Virginia and Fort Worth. And Philip, I'm not going to forget you, K5KOB, he's over on YouTube, but he always checks in, and he's done it by audio as well from time to time, so I got you as well. Let's see, anyone else before I turn it back over to Net Control who would like to join us? Please come with your call name, where you're transmitting from. Miss Billy, we got 20 checked in so far from KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. Did you see JJ over on the chat, N5IMS? He said he is going to be only. Just want to confirm him included in the count.
Okay, very good. I got him.
Just to confirm, is that 21 check-ins?
Yes, indeed. I guess the I got him could be one or the other. You're right. Yes, 21 check-ins with JJ, KE5ICX.
Well, thank you so much, and welcome to all who have checked in on Skynet. All right, let's start with general announcements. Do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? These can be ham, astronomical, space, or of general interest to licensed hams. If you have an announcement, please come now with your call sign.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike.
PM, Tony, good evening. What announcements do you have for us this evening?
Good evening. Well, of course, I'd like to remind us, as N5BB reminded me earlier, that 1 week from today we have a local ham fest. We have a local ham fest. The Irving and Dallas Amateur Radio Clubs are supporting the Irving Ham Fest taking place on Saturday, March 4th, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Betcha Bingo Hall in Irving. That's 1 week from today, 8 a.m. to 2. And there's VE testing available from 9 to noon if you want to upgrade your license, or if you're listening on the internet and you're not a ham yet. For more information, have a look at irvingarc.org. Irvingarc, that stands for Irving Amateur Radio Club.org. And there is a countdown even going to the Irving Ham Fest that's going on right now. We have nets, and this is not the last net of the evening. We do have the Afterglow movie discussion net coming up at about 10:30, plus or minus a few minutes. This will be a net about the movie remarkably full of stop motion and remarkably free of common sense called 1 Million Years BC. That's tonight at about 10:30, yeah, give or take a little. Then this Monday is a GeekNet Monday. It's the fourth Monday. We'll be geeking out about something, we don't know what yet, at 7 p.m. on Mr. Peter. Any topic that you think is a good geek topic is welcome. Do you like stamp collecting? Do you like to chase butterflies in the field? Are you a light sport pilot? I don't know. But if you like geeking out about it and you want to talk about it on the net or ask questions, it's a welcome topic on GeekNet. We also really welcome geeky news and news of the weird, if you've heard any good strange news items this month. Okay, well, that's all I had. NT5TM, thank you for listening.
N5BB.
Thank you very much, Tony. Is there anyone else out there that has a announcement for this evening? If so, please come now with your call sign.
November 5, Bravo, Bravo.
N5BB. Bill, good evening. What announcements do you have for this evening's net?
Hello, hello. This is N5BB. The Irving Ham Fest is a week from today, Saturday, March the 4th. It's always the first Saturday in March. So this will be from, the doors were open for people to come in and look at things at 8 o'clock a.m. And it'll be open until 2 p.m. There will be hourly prizes for different things starting at 9 a.m. So at 9, 10, 11, and 12, there will be a drawing for a different 2-meter radio each hour. They're all essentially 2-meter mobile radios, so pretty good prizes. And then the grand prize drawing will be at 1. You do have to be present to win the hourly prizes. I'll repeat, you must be present to win the hourly prizes. And you're not there, we'll put it back in and pull somebody else's number. But you do not need to be present to win, which is a very nice radio. You can find out everything, including the details about the prizes, about the VE exams, and volunteering for the Ham Fest, The Dallas Amateur Radio Club is providing the Irving Club with additional volunteers. And the volunteers can have a chance to win a prize. To find out about all of that, you go to irvingarc.org. That's irvingarc.org. And up near the middle and the top, you'll find a thing talking about the Hamfest. And there's some button you can click there to get more, and you'll find lots more about the Irving Hamfest. If anybody has any questions about the Irving Hamfest, they can reach me, Bill Byram, N5BB. That's November 5 Bravo Bravo at ARRL.net. Thank you, N5BB.
Thank you, Bill. Those additional details on the Irving Hamfest are greatly appreciated. Next, does anyone else with general announcements? If so, please come down. Fine. Any, so I'll go ahead with a few announcements of my own. The Radio Amateur Satellite Group has 2 nets available to Dallas residents on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Time. You'll need Echolink installed and you registered. You can find the net under Groups and AMSAT. Also, a live audio link is available on their website at www.amsatnet.com. This net originates in Houston, Texas. Dallas AMSAT-Net East, Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas is every Tuesday, 8 p.m. on this repeater, 146.880 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Tom N5HYP is the net control. All are welcome to check in. First Tuesday of the month is the DARC Club night, so there's no AMSAT East on that night. Dallas AMSAT-Net West is every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on the Arlington repeater, 147.140 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9 and a positive offset. The ARC hosts several Monday night nets. The first Monday of the month is Ham Fixin's Net. Come to this net if you would like to a recipe, hear other people's recipes, or if you have a question or anecdote about food. Come to First Monday Ham Fixin's Net. Second Monday of the month is MCOM 101, Emergency Communications. The third Monday, come back for a second helping of Ham Fixin's Net. Fourth Monday, come geek out on GeekNet, as Tony mentioned. And fifth Monday, if it is a surprise net. If we told you what it is, it wouldn't be a surprise. On-air participation is encouraged. Tuesdays, AMSAT East at 8 p.m., Q&A. Info and news for amateur satellites. And Fridays is Search City simulation at 8 p.m. Learn about emergency radio communications via CERT-trained amateur radio operators. Melissa I-5 CRH is usually the net control. Visit the most disaster-prone city in the universe every Friday. Search City, all are welcome. Saturday night is the Night of Nets with TechNet from 7 to 8 p.m. And, of course, at 9 p.m., Skynet. And following Skynet at roughly 10:30, as Tony mentioned, is the Afterglow Movie Net. If you're new to this channel and you don't know what the Afterglow Movie Net is, what we do is we pick a movie, we watch it during the week, and then we come back for the Afterglow Movie Net, and we discuss the movie. We discuss everything from plot and characterization to special effects and any other about the movie. Music scores, anything of interest to the film. And then at the end of the net, we'll pick a movie to watch for the coming week. So join us at 10:30 for the Afterglow Movie Net. More on that in just a moment. First and third Sundays is the Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting on the air. Daily is the ARRL Net, National Traffic System Training Net, every night at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. All are welcome to check in on any of these nets. And as we've mentioned, at 10:30, following Skynet, is the Afterglow Movie Net. I will turn the net over to Tom, KE5ICX, if you'll give us tonight's Afterglow info.
And thank you, Billy. This is KE5ICX, and I pride myself on being able to give such an accurate description of the movie. So here we go. The man looked approvingly at his creation. Though decent language skills hadn't been invented yet, it was clear he managed an attraction of monumental proportions. Next to him, the tour guide, in a fur bikini, looked at him, wondering when she would get paid. Fear not. The best was yet to come. Akko, Bob, whatever his name is, looked at the sign, an entrance to his amusement park. Jurassic Stop Motion Park was a reality, and soon other cavemen and their families would come. The best part was the prehistoric dinosaur petting zoo. Everyone was excited about that, especially the children. Akobot exclaimed loudly, "Welcome to Jurassic Stop." Join us for the Keep 1966 masterpiece and in memory of Raquel Welch, 1 million years BC. This Saturday, which is now tonight at 10:30 p.m., which is later. Back to you, Miss Billy. This is KE5ICX. I'm learning my language skills, too.
Tom, we always look forward to hearing your highly accurate and thoroughly enjoyable and award-winning Afterglow info presentation. Always a hit on Skynet. All right, next up is Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas. Where and when you can look through a telescope. So Chaz, KF5JHA, I see you over there on the chat. We'll give you a chance to check in. From Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas, then you can go ahead and report. So if you will record Chaz, we'll go ahead and turn the net over to Chaz, KF5JHA from CBS.
Good evening, everyone. This is Chaz, KF5JHA. I'm sorry I'm late to the party tonight. The next Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas club meeting is going to be held on Friday, March the 24th. The meeting will be held at 7:30 p.m. and in person, as well as on Zoom, in person at the University of Texas at Dallas. The featured speaker, I'm not sure what the featured speaker and the topic will be in March. We just had our meeting last night. It was a wonderful meeting. Saturday public observing sessions have begun again. Unfortunately, the one tonight didn't happen because it's cloudy. Skynet was picked to be on Saturday night, so there could be an opportunity for live reports from Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas public observing sessions. So tonight would have been the fourth Saturday night. The stargazing would have been held at Rockwall, but again, that was canceled due to clouds. Check with the TASS website, texasastro.org, for up-to-date information and details about meetings and public observing sessions. That's all I've got for the moment. And back to you, Billy. This is KF5JHA.
Thank you, Chaz. Next up is National Space Society events and activities. So at this time, I'll call on Bill, N5BB, if you'll give us the updates on National Space Society of North Texas from KF5 PBS.
Well, thank you again, Billy. This is N5BB. I happen to be the membership director and member at large of the National Space Society North Texas chapter, which is very active. And recent events. We had an event yesterday and today. How's that for a lot of activity? Yesterday, as I announced on the Skynet last week, we had our Space Rendezvous event, which is a social event. You do not need to be an NSS member to attend. It's people interested in space. This is not astronomy. It's really, human activities in space, like unmanned probes, like the James Webb Space Telescope, like the Artemis program sending humans to the moon, anything that involves things humans do in space, we're interested in. And just like the National Space Society, but you don't have to be a member to go to this event. This event is simply it's an unscripted social event. And so last night we had it from 6 to about 8 p.m. at the place we've been going to a couple of months in Irving, 54th Street Restaurant and Draft House, which is it's near Olympus. It's west of MacArthur on the north side of Highway 635 in North Irving. So you can think of it being between Irving and Capel, right along Highway 635. And we will be doing that again, probably at the same location next month. Our schedule is we do this on the last Friday of the month. Okay, the last Friday of the month. Next, today we had another event, which was Engineers Week at the Fort Worth Museum of Science and History. They graciously invited our National Space Society local chapter to visit them. So we had 3 of our members there, me and 2 others, and we had 3 tables, and we had all kinds of literature, and I brought along some books I'd bought that show the all kinds of really neat pictures of the Apollo program. This is a recent book where they've taken some of these, original negatives and everything, and then, cleaned them up and printed them very nicely. So some of these are color, some are black and white, but it's a huge book, very large size pages with really neat photographs. And then it had another book, which is photographs of all the planets, some from the Earth, but most of them with space telescopes and things. So that was also cool. And I had another book, which was the Victorian Internet. It's how the Victorians, not the Internet, but going to space. It's how science and technology that started with Victorian Europe and U.S. Ended up, that era ended up with our technologies that go to space. It was talking about how technologies have progressed in the 100 years from roughly the U.S. Civil War until the 1960s. And we had lots of other stuff there. And we were at the right outside the Noble Planetarium, which is on the 2nd floor of the Fort Worth Museum of Science and History, which is on Montgomery Street, right there in the museum district in Fort Worth. Break. Unfortunately, the Cowtown Marathon was happening around the same time, so we had a little hard time getting there, but it then opened up later, so it all worked out well. That was great fun. The next meeting of the National Space Society North Texas chapter will be, as always, on the 2nd Sunday afternoon of the month. So this will be 2 weeks from tomorrow, on Sunday afternoon, March the 5th, and we meet, I meant to say, correct that, I meant to say Sunday afternoon, March the 12th. March the 12th. So our meetings always start at 3:30 p.m. at Spring Creek Barbecue in Irving. We also have on most of our meetings a WebEx so that you can look at it from the comfort of your home, but you don't get the benefit of seeing all the space peeps in person and shaking their hand and looking them in the face and yakking about various things. So again, National Space Society March meeting, Sunday afternoon, March the 12th at 3:30 p.m. If you have any questions, of course, reach me, space@virum.net, or n5bb@arrl.net. And just to remind you yet again, is that the International Space Development Conference this year will be held in Frisco, right north of Dallas. And it will be May the 25th through the 28th. That's a Thursday through a Saturday at the Embassy Suites by Hilton in Frisco. There's going to be a lot of people there, a lot of neat talks about all kinds of things about space stuff. So if you're a National Space Society member, you get a big discount over the entrance fees. That's all I got in 5BB. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much, Bill. And just want to throw out there that the National Space Society of North Texas has an active Facebook page. Just type in National Space Society of North Texas into the search box and request access. Receive meeting reminders and club activities. Next up is discussion topic of the evening. So for tonight's topic, I have chosen NASA's Dragonfly Journey to Titan. The newest mission to explore the solar system delivers an 8-bladed rotorcraft to visit Saturn's largest and richly organic moon, Titan, slated for launch in 2027 and arrival in 2034. Dragonfly will sample and examine dozens of promising sites around Saturn's icy moon and advance our search for the building blocks of life. In its 32-month baseline mission, Dragonfly will explore Titan's diverse environment and take advantage of its dense nitrogen-based atmosphere, 4 times denser than Earth, to fly a vehicle ever to fly its entire science payload to new places for repeatable and targeted access to surface materials. The basic building blocks of life on Titan are expected to be similar to those on Earth before life arose. Dragonfly's instruments will help advance astrobiology and study how far pre-life chemistry may have progressed. Additionally, its instruments will investigate the moon's atmospheric and surface properties, subsurface oceans, liquid reservoirs, and areas where water and complex organic materials key to life once existed together for possibly tens of thousands of years. It is larger than planet Mercury, the second largest moon in our solar system. It has a subsurface ocean of liquid water, methane lakes and rivers on the surface, and even clouds and rain of methane. Other more complex organics are formed in the atmosphere, all like light snow. As it orbits Saturn, Titan is about 886 million miles away from the Sun, about 10 times farther than Earth. Because it is so far from the Sun, its surface temperature is around negative 290 degrees Fahrenheit. Surface pressure is also 50% higher than Earth. Dragonfly was selected as part of the agency's New Frontiers program, which includes the New Horizons mission to Pluto and the Kuiper Belt, Juno to Jupiter, and OSIRIS-REx to the asteroid Bennu. Dragonfly is led by Principal Investigator Elizabeth Turtle, who is based at the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory in Laurel, Maryland. That information comes to us from NASA.gov. Another NASA article on the subject is NASA's Dragonfly will fly around Titan looking for origins and signs of life. Dragonfly took advantage of 13 years' worth of Cassini data to use a calm weather period to land, along with a safe initial landing site and scientifically interesting targets. So this page includes a video with artist conception of the Dragonfly spacecraft. Dragonfly will first land at the equatorial Shangri-La dune fields, which are terrestrially similar to the linear dunes in Namibia in southern Africa and offer a diverse sampling location. Dragonfly will explore this region in short flights, building up to a series of longer leapfrog flights of up to 5 miles, stopping along the way to take samples from compelling areas with diverse geography. It will finally reach the Selk impact crater, where there is evidence of past liquid water, organics, the complex molecules that contain carbon, combined with hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, and energy, which together make up the recipe for life. Lander will eventually fly more than 108 miles, nearly double the distance traveled to date by all the Mars rovers combined. It is unlike any other place in the solar system, and Dragonfly is like no other mission, said Thomas Zurbuchen, NASA's Associate Administrator Science at the agency's headquarters in Washington. Remarkable to think of this robotic flying rotorcraft flying miles and miles across the organic sand dunes of Saturn's largest moon, exploring the processes that shape this extraordinary environment. Dragonfly will visit a world filled with a wide variety of organic compounds, which are the building blocks of life and could teach us about the origin of life itself. So for more information about Titan, you can visit solarsystem.nasa.gov/moons/Titan/overview. And you can also read about NASA's New Frontiers program and its missions at planetarymissions.nasa.gov. So there's some information about an upcoming mission, the Dragonfly spacecraft. This is KF5CDS, Billy, your net control for the session of the DARC Skynet. This time, I'd like to turn the net back over to Tom, KE5ICX, and do a quick check-in round, see if there are any folks that have joined us that would like to check in, and then you have my permission from there to turn the net directly over to Chaz for his segment on What's Up. So this is to KE5ICX from KF5PDS.
And this is KE5ICX, and I'm going to take additional check-in. If you'd like to join us, please come with your call sign phonetically, your name, where you're transmitting from. Okay, well, we get a decent check-ins at the beginning, so we'll go over to Chaz, KF5JHA. Chaz, tell us what's up.
Why, thank you, Tom. I guess you've already officially checked me in because I just did an announcement for the Texas Astronomical Society. So if you didn't, go ahead and check me in. Bob the Cat was laying right beside the computer. Thankfully, he's not there now. This is Chaz, KF5JHA. We call this segment of Skynet What's Up because it's all about what's going on astronomically in the sky over the next couple of weeks. So, Slide Master, slide number 2, that would be Tom. Tonight, the sunset was around 6:19 p.m., although I didn't see it because it was cloudy, which is later than just a week ago. This time of the year, the sunset will vary by about 1 minute every day. Last Saturday, the sunset was at 6:13 p.m. Central Standard Time. During the winter solstice around December 21st, here in the Dallas, we only have about 10 hours of sunlight. At the summer solstice around June 21st, we have about 14 hours of daylight here in the Dallas area. That is the change of 4 hours of daylight per day from winter to summer. That variation in the number of hours of daylight from winter to summer depends on where you are on the surface of the Earth. At the equator, people experience 12 hours of daylight every day. In fact, the sun rises and sets at just about the same time for people throughout the year that are living at the equator. Slide Master, slide number 3, please. Now, those scientists that are living at the South Pole, they won't have any nighttime today, February the 25th, nor will they have any nighttime tomorrow, nor any time in the next 3 weeks. The sun will set around March 21st or 22nd, and it won't rise again until September 21st or 22nd for them. they have 6 months of daylight and then 6 months of darkness. In other words, they only have 1 day during the entire year. That's kind of interesting. Slide Master, slide number 4, please. February 20th was new moon. The current phase of the moon is a waxing crescent. February 27th is when the first quarter moon occurs. On March the 3rd, the moon is at apogee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is furthest from the Earth at a distance of 405,889 kilometers. On March the 7th is full moon, and the third quarter moon will be on March 14th. On March 19th, the moon is at perigee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is closest to the Earth at a distance of 352,696 kilometers. Slide Master, slide number 5, please. Okay, did you see it? I saw it. On Wednesday evening, February the 22nd, the moon and Jupiter were in conjunction in the the west-southwestern sky, and Venus was right underneath of it. We do observing sessions for the astronomy students on Wednesday night, and unfortunately the first several weeks, in fact all the Wednesday nights up until this past Wednesday night, were cloudy. And so this was the first time they had to do observing and looking at Jupiter and the moon next to each other. It was a treat for everyone. Slide Master, slide number 6. A few days from now, on February the 27th, the moon and Mars will be in conjunction very high over the, almost overhead in the evening sky. Slide Master, slide number 7. Now, March the 1st is a very rare event. It's a very close conjunction of the two brightest planets, Jupiter and Venus. In a telescope, you'd be able to see both of them in the same field of view. This will be spectacular to the unaided eye as well as binoculars and telescopes. I hope it's clear that night, although right now the prediction is supposed to be clouds and rain. If you get to see it, the moons of Jupiter are going to be spread out over about the same distance as the distance between Jupiter and Venus, about a half a degree. Pretty interesting. Yep, hope it's clear. Slide Master, slide number 8. A few hours later in the early morning east conjunction, you may need a pair of binoculars to see this because of the strong morning twilight. Slide Master, slide number 9, please. On March the 11th, there is a unique conjunction of Jupiter and the asteroid Vesta in the western evening sky. Now, getting a good star chart out, or using something that I use all the time, Stellarium, you can be able to figure out which one of those dots close to Jupiter is Vesta, the asteroid. If you've never seen an asteroid, this would be an opportunity to do it. Again, I hope it's clear that night. The very next night, slide number 10, please. Early morning Sunday, March the 12th at 2 a.m., we will turn our clocks forward by 1 hour to 3 a.m., so it's the beginning of daylight saving time. There's been some tries in both the Texas legislature and the U.S. legislature to either keep us on standard time or daylight time all year, but so far no action has occurred. If that doesn't happen, we will return to standard time on November the 5th, 2023. Slide Master, slide number 11, please. On March 19th, there's a famous astronomy's birthday on that date. We'll see if we can find that out in history segments and future Skynets. So on March the 19th, there's a conjunction of Saturn and the Moon in the early morning east-southeastern sky. Once again, binoculars probably is going to be necessary to observe this. Slide Master, slide number 12. On March the 20th, the moment of the vernal equinox and the beginning of spring is at 4:24 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Yeah, because we've already switched daylight time for that. Here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's just a flip-flop of that in the Southern Hemisphere. Slide Master, slide number 13. On March the 22nd, there is a conjunction of three objects, Jupiter, Vesta, and the Moon. Remember what Vesta is? That's that asteroid. They're all in the western evening sky, so see if you can figure out where Vesta is in this triple conjunction. Slide Master, slide number 14. So, I've talked about this. Canopus, second brightest star in the sky, really far south, just south of Sirius, really low in the sky, maybe 4.5 degrees high. Did you try looking for it? I challenge you to find it in the past. It's very low. Yeah, you can't see it tonight because it's cloudy. But look about 35 degrees below Sirius to find it. This is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 15. Once again, the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club meeting will be held on Friday, March the 24th. The meeting will be held at 7:30 p.m. in person at the University of Texas at Dallas, and also held on Zoom. The featured speaker, I'm not sure who it's going to be and what the topic will be about. But public observing sessions have begun again. Unfortunately, tonight's session that would have been in Rockwell was canceled due to clouds. But if you want to check the TASS website, texasastro.org, for up-to-date information and details about meetings and public observing sessions. Now, next week's public observing session, if it's clear, will be held, I believe, at Fairview. But you can look at details at texasastro.org. Slide Master, slide number 16. Now, do any of you out there in Radio Land have a question about anything? Or do you need a fill on any of the information that I've talked about? Or do you just a general astronomy question? Come now with your call sign if you have a question or need a fill. Okay, if you were wondering, Star Trek is going to come on MeTV in about 8 minutes and 15 seconds. MeTV, Star Trek, the original series, yes. All right, slide number 17. So as the moon wanes, so do these words waned last week. So do these words for the segment of Skynet. Stay safe, keep well, pray for our world. It's the only one where humans live, at least right now. Until next week. Well, actually, I'll be doing another segment on Skynet in a few minutes. Keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is KF5 JHA, Vector Net Control. Billy, it's all back up to you. KF5 PDS.
Chaz, this is KF5 PDS. Billy, your net control. Hi, Net. All right, next up is Space Exploration of Space History. This time I will turn the net over to Kelly, K5 KTX. The net is yours. KF5 PDS.
Hey, Billy, this is K5 KTX, and hopefully everybody can hear me okay. I'm still a little under the weather from my work trip to Las Vegas. Well, Earth and Venus are rocky planets of about the same size and rock chemistry, so they should be losing their internal heat to space at about the same rate. How Earth loses its heat is well known, but Venus's heat flow mechanism has been a mystery. A study that uses 3-decade-old data from NASA's Magellan mission has taken a new look at how Venus cools and found that thin regions of the planet's uppermost layer may provide an answer. Our planet has a hot core that heats the surrounding mantle, which carries that heat up to Earth's rigid outer rocky layer, or lithosphere. The heat is then lost in space, cooling the uppermost region of the mantle. This mantle convection drives tectonic processes on the surface, keeping a patchwork of mobile plates in motion. Venus doesn't have tectonic plates, so how the planet loses its heat and what processes shape its surface have been long-running questions in planetary science. Study published in Nature Geoscience looks at the mystery using observations the Magellan spacecraft made in the early 1990s of quasi-circular geological features on Venus called coronae. Making new measurements of coronae visible in the Magellan images, the researchers concluded that coronae tend to be located where the planet's lithosphere is at its thinnest and most active. Just as thin bed sheet releases more body heat than a thick comforter, a thin lithosphere allows more heat to escape from the planet's interior via buoyant flumes of molten rock rising to the outer layer. Typically, where there's enhanced heat flow, there's increased volcanic activity below the surface. So coronae likely reveal locations where active geology is shaping Venus's surface today. Researchers focused on 65 previously unstudied coronae that are up to a few hundred miles across. To calculate the thickness of the lithosphere surrounding them, they measured the depth of the trenches and ridges around each corona. What they found is that ridges are spaced more closely together in areas where the lithosphere is more flexible or elastic. By applying a computer model of how an elastic lithosphere bends, they determined that on average, the lithosphere around each corona is about 7 miles thick, much thinner than previous studies suggest. These regions have an estimated heat flow that is greater than Earth's average, suggesting that coronae are geologically active. To calculate how old a celestial body's surface material is, planetary scientists count the number of visible impact craters. For a tectonically active planet like Earth, impact craters are erased by the subduction of continental plates and covered by molten rock from volcanoes. If Venus lacks tectonic activity and the regular churn of Earth-like geology, it should be covered in old craters. But by counting the number of Venusian craters, scientists estimate that the surface is relatively young. Recent studies suggest the youthful appearance of Venusian craters. Scientists of Venus' surface is likely due to volcanic activity, which drives regional resurfacing today. This finding is supported by the new research indicating higher heat flow in coronae regions, a state that Earth's lithosphere may have resembled in the past. The forthcoming Venus Emissivity Radio Science INSAR Topography and Spectroscopy, or VERITAS mission, will pick up where Magellan left off, improving upon that mission's data, which is low resolution and comes with large margins of error. Targeting launch within a decade, this mission will use a state-of-the-art synthetic aperture radar to create 3D global maps and a near-infrared spectrometer to figure out what the surface is made of. VERITAS will also measure the planet's gravitational field to determine the structure of Venus's interior. The instruments will together fill in the story of the planet's past and present geologic processes. VERITAS will be an orbiting geologist able to pinpoint where these active areas are and better resolve local variations in lithospheric thickness. We'll even be able to catch the lithosphere in the act of deforming. Scientists will be able to determine if volcanism really is making the lithosphere squishy enough to lose as much heat as Earth, or if Venus has more mysteries in store. In space history for this past week, starting with February the 19th, way back in 1473, revolutionary astronomer Nicholas Copernicus was born. Copernicus, in formulating a heliocentric model of the universe, provided the ignition for one of the most significant scientific revolutions in history, the aptly named Copernican Revolution. Untethered from the geocentric dogma of his time, Copernicus was able to start with a fresh slate and develop a more elegant heliocentric system of concentric circles, planetary orbits. Copernicus's work, though not initially superior to the geocentric model in its predictive power, gained a firmer foundation when Galileo observed Jupiter's moons in 1610. Copernicus was an exemplary scientist who became aware of his erroneous assumptions and in doing so sparked a major mental shift in the collective human awareness of our world. February the 20th, back in 1962, at 9:47 a.m. Eastern Time, astronaut John Glenn launched in Friendship 7 on Mercury and 3 orbits, and with some worry about whether his heat shield was in the proper place, Glenn splashed down near Grand Turk Island in the Caribbean. That summer, Friendship 7 went around the world again on a 30-city tour. The capsule was seen in person by about 4 million people in Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Americas over the course of 3 months. A year after the launch, Friendship 7 landed at the National Air and Space Museum, the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C., where it can still be seen today. February the 22nd, 2006, the Hubble Space Telescope discovery of 2 moons of Pluto was confirmed. The first evidence of the moons came in observations in mid-2005, but it took follow-on observations in mid-February 2006 to confirm the findings. Astronomers using Hubble's advanced camera for surveys found that the newly discovered moons, later named Nix and Hydra, orbit on the same plane as the already known and much larger moon Charon. This finding added evidence for the theory that the moons of Pluto were born from a collision between 2 Pluto-sized objects over 4 billion years ago. In 2011, a 4th moon of Pluto, Kerberos, was announced, and then in 2012, a 5th one was discovered and named Styx. February the 23rd, 1987, astronomers first spotted the supernova they would go on to call supernova 1987A. The Titanic supernova is the brightest since 1604. Supernova 1987A was discovered independently by Ian Shelton and Oscar Duhalde at the Las Campanas Observatory in Chile on February 24, 1987, and within the same 24 hours by Albert Jones in New Zealand. Later investigations found photographs showing the supernova brightening rapidly early on February 23rd. It was the first supernova that modern astronomers were able to study in great detail. Supernova 1987A provided the first opportunity to confirm by direct observation the radioactive source of the energy for visible light emissions by detecting predicted gamma-ray line radiation from 2 of its abundant radioactive nuclei. This proved the radioactive nature of the long-duration post-explosion glow of supernovae. February the 24th, 1969, Mariner 6 launched. Mariner 6 and 7 comprised a dual spacecraft mission to Mars, the 6th and 7th missions in the Mariner series of spacecraft used for planetary exploration in the flyby mode. The dual mission flew over the equator and south polar regions, analyzed the Martian atmosphere and surface with remote sensors, and recorded and relayed close-up pictures of the surface. A primary objective of the mission was to establish the basis for future investigations, particularly those relevant to the search for extraterrestrial life, and to demonstrate and develop technologies required for future Mars missions and other long-duration missions far from the Sun. The Mariner series of probes established the foundation of our knowledge of Mars, allowing us to progress to where we currently stand with 2 operational Mars rovers and a crewed mission to Mars planned for the 2030s. Also on February the 24th, back in 2011, Space Shuttle Discovery lifted off from NASA's Kennedy Space Center on her final mission, STS-133. Destination, the International Space Station. The crew was Steve Lindsay, Eric Bowe, Alan Drew, Nicole Stott, Steve Bowen, and Michael Barrett. After the mission, Discovery was retired and is now on display at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum. for astronaut birthdays for this past week, starting with 3 of them on February the 19th. The first in 1932, Joseph Kerwin, who was on Skylab 2. 1948, Byron Lichtenberg. He was part of Space Shuttle missions STS-9 and 45. And also, February the 19th, 1956, G. David Lowe, Space Shuttle missions STS-32, 43, and 57. February the 20th, 1921, Joseph Walker, who was on X-15 flights 77, 90, and 91. And then we have a twofer. That's February the 21st, 1964. We have 2 astronauts. Of course, they are twins, Mark Kelly and Scott Kelly. Mark Kelly was on Space Shuttle missions STS-108, 121, 124, and 134. And Scott Kelly was Space Shuttle missions STS-103, 118, and then part of Expedition 2526. And his long duration, almost a year long, expeditions 43, 44, 45, and 46. Finally, happy birthday on February the 22nd, 1952 to James P. Bagian, not sure how you pronounce that. Space Shuttle missions STS-29 and 40. And then one of my all-time favorite astronauts, February the 23rd, 1959, Clayton Anderson. He's a delight to get to meet, if you ever get to meet him. He was part of Space Shuttle mission STS-117. That was going up to the space station. Then he was there for Expeditions 15 and 16. And then he returned on Space Shuttle mission STS-120 and also on STS-131. That's all I've got this evening. This is K5KTX. Back to you, Billy.
Thanks very much, Kelly. Always look forward to your report on the happenings and the history and the birth. Next up, before we get to the constellation of the week, Tom, I'd like to turn it back over to you to see if we have any check-ins, and then you have my permission to turn it for his segment on constellation of the week. So why don't you turn it over to Tom, KE5ICX, and KF5PDS.
And this is KE5ICX. My name's Tom. We'll go ahead and continue check-ins. If you'd like to join us this evening, if you've not done so already, please come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from.
Kilo Golf 5 Bravo Zulu Whiskey J. November.
All right, we've got KG5BZW, J near Weatherford. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next segment. KF5JHA, what do you have for us for a constellation for this week from KE5ICX?
Good evening, everyone. I do have an announcement to make before we get the constellation of the week started. Hear ye, let it be known, to a Messier marathon. That is to try to get all 110 Messier objects observed in just a single night. So I'll be missing a couple of... I'll do the write-ups if somebody wants to read them. There you go. Slide number 18. Miss Carolyn's constellation of the week is named in honor of Silent Key Carolyn, KC5OZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week, almost from its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019, with a detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Since there are about 52 easily visible constellations seen in North Texas throughout the year, out of the 88 total constellations, so Miss Carolyn covered the entire sky as seen over North Texas in a year. And in her honor, we've continued the tradition of a constellation per week and named this segment after her. Miss Carolyn's constellation of the week this week is Auriga, or Auriga. You'll hear me pronounce it either way. The Charioteer or the Shepherd. Now, JJ has a modern-day interpretation of it. He calls it the Uber driver. Okay. Auriga, the Charioteer, is the constellation known since ancient times. There's a number of stories and legends that Auriga is associated with. One, Auriga introduced the four-horse chariot into Athens. Auriga has also been said to represent the ill-fated charioteer of King who ultimately died as a result of his involvement in a plot to betray the king. Okay, Slide Master, slide number 19, please. The jokes of the week. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say Slide Master and the slides, we have a video portion of Skynet, and that's going on in other formats and other ways. YouTube is one of them. You can get a link to that at w5fc.org. Gosh, I've forgotten. Okay. Go to the website for the Dallas Club. Okay. Now, what we need to get to is Slide Master's slide number 19. Now, I try to be impartial to chariot races, but I have to admit it, I'm with her. Get it, H-U-R. If you haven't seen the movie, you don't know what I mean. What did the chariot say after parting the Red Sea? I'm all washed up. Again, that's a reference to, well, never mind. What did the left chariot wheel say to the right chariot wheel? I'll see you around. What do you call a chariot's pony when it coughs? Oh, that's an easy one. You call it a little horse. Very good. Slide Master, slide number 20. Capella, which means the she-goat or the little she-goat, is the brightest star in Auriga, or Auriga. Auriga is usually depicted with a mother goat and her kids on his left shoulder and arm. Capella represents the goat, and the nearby triangle of Epsilon, Eta, and Zeta stars represent the kids. Capella is actually a multiple star system, and the two main components, Capella A and B, being a yellow G-type star that are giants. One estimate has them with diameters about 7 and 13 times that of our Sun. They orbit each other at a distance of about 60 million miles and are therefore too close to each other for us to split them, even with the largest of telescopes. There are two more components of the Capellian system, two faint red dwarf stars that orbit each other. This pair of red dwarf stars orbits the main pair at a distance of about 11,000 astronomical units, or 0.17 light years. The entire Capellian star system lies about 42.8 light years from the Earth. Theta Aurigae is a white A-type star that is about 166 light years away. It is known for its strong magnetic field and its overabundance of silicon, chromium, and iron. It is also a double star that is noted for being difficult to split, requiring good optics and a good night, steady atmosphere, and good seeing. The companion star is magnitude 7.2 G-type star, and it's nearly a twin of our Sun, separated from the primary by only 4 arc seconds. That's not very far apart. This is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 21, please. There are 3 M objects that are pretty famous for most people to see. They're open clusters. M36 is known as one of them. Let's see now. It's easy to find open clusters and Messier objects. M36 is the first on the list that we'll examine. The Deep Sky Wonders Walter Scott Houston wrote that this cluster has about 60 stars, but it looks sparse in comparison to M37 that we'll get to in a minute. Stephen James Amira, in his book The Messier Objects, writes that the brighter members of the cluster shine at 9th and 10th magnitude in front of a hazy background of That's caused by a feeble light of dozens of 13th and 14th magnitude stars. A number of the observers note the cross shape that's formed in the central stars in the cluster. The Messier album, written by John Malleus, notes that the outward streamers of the faint stars are a crab-like appearance. That's interesting. I have to look at that the next time I look at that, which won't be too far from now. Slide Master, slide number 22, please. Of the three Messier open clusters, M36 and M37 and M38, most agree that M37 is the most striking. Walter Scott Houston said that it is the prettiest of the three. Burnham wrote that it was usually considered the finest of the three Messier open clusters at Auriga. O'Meara wrote that telescopically M37 is much more wonderful in sight than either M36 or M38. John Malleus described it as one of the finest open clusters in the heavens. M37 is a richer cluster than M36, having about 150 brighter stars, more than twice that of M36. Including all of the fainter stars, he totaled the stellar population of M37 to be more like 500 stars. Also, unlike M36, which contains mostly blue-white stars, M37 has white stars and even some red giants. A number of different authors have noted the ninth magnitude red star that, as Burnham wrote, stands out near the cluster center like a ruby in a field of diamonds. It is a pretty sight to see, by the way. Slide Master, slide number 23. M38, in terms of stellar density, M38 falls between M36 and M37, has about 100 to 120 stars, greater than M36's 60 stars, but well short of M37's estimated 500 stars. Like M36, a number of observers over the years have noted a cross shape formed by the central stars of the cluster. W.T. Webb, Houston, O'Meara, and Burnham noted it, although Burnham was quoting Webb, and John Malleus did not notice that using now a classic 4-inch unitron refractor while observing for the book of the Messier album. So they didn't. Not all of them are seeing this cross shape. Though all three open clusters look similar in binoculars or the finder scope, M36, M37, and M38 are all quite different in appearance in a telescope. I challenge all of you to observe them. If you're in a darkened environment, a pair of binoculars is easy to pick out all three of them. And this is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 24. Here are a few more Astronomical League observing program objects in the constellation of Auriga, the Charioteer, or as someone else, JJ said, the Uber driver. I've just given you a sampling of some of those objects. The Astronomical League has, at last count, about 75 different observing programs, most of which have about 100 objects. So if you observe just 10 different objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pen in about a year. Slide Master, slide number 25, and that is Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week, Auriga, the Charioteer, or the Shepherd, or the Uber driver. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson and Dennis Farwell for their research and words on the deep sky objects that I use, borrow, and steal from them for every Skynet. I also at times use the website constellation-guide.com for information. Now next time I'll take a look at a doggone good constellation, Canis Major, the big dog. And this is KF5 JHA. I'm returning it back to our net control, Dr. Billy.
Okay, well, I'm going to look and see if I can figure out what's going on with this, Billy. This is KE5ICX. The next segment is mine, so I'll just go ahead and pick up from there, and we'll move along. I'll go ahead and ask if there's any additional check-ins. Before I do that, if you'd like to join us, please come now with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from. Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and continue. This is my segment. It's called Space Launches for this week, and I get the information from coastlaunches.com for Florida, and then I also get the information mainly from spaceflightnow.com/launch schedule, and these are updated just about every day. So I'm going to list a few of them. We've got one coming up on February 26th, Falcon 9 Starlink 6-1 mission from SLC-40 from Cape Canaveral. This will be another batch of Starlink Internet satellites. This mission will be the first mission to launch in the new larger Starlink spacecraft designs known as Starlink V2 Mini. The Falcon 9's first stage booster will land on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. February 27th, oh boy, it's a Falcon 9 mission, but this one's special. There's a crew of 6. This will launch from Launch Complex 39A at Cape Kennedy, Florida. This will be a Crew Dragon spacecraft on the program's 9th flight with astronauts. The Falcon 9 first stage booster will land on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. NASA's astronaut Stephen Bowen, Warren Woody Hoberg, UAE astronaut Sultan A. Yadi, and Russian cosmonaut Andrei Fedyev will launch on the Crew Dragon spacecraft to begin a 6-month expedition on the International Space Station. The Crew Dragon will return to its splashdown at sea. On February 27th, another Starlink, Falcon 9 Starlink 2-7. Launch time is to be determined. This will be from SLC-4E at Vandenberg Space Force Base, California. Be another batch of Starlink Internet satellites. We'll deploy those satellites into high inclination orbit at 70 degrees to the equator. Falcon 9's first stage booster will land on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. On March 1st, Falcon 9 will launch a OneWeb 17, SLC-40, Cape Canaveral. It will launch 40 satellites into orbit for OneWeb, which is actually a competitor with SpaceX that they actually took on after the Russians reneged on their promises, and they decided not to fly these things. But it is developing its own and deploying a constellation of hundreds of satellites in low Earth orbit for low latency broadband communications. This will be the third launch of the OneWeb satellite with SpaceX and OneWeb's 17th launch overall. Falcon 9's first stage booster will land on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. Then we have H3 Alos 3 launching from Takagashima Space Center in Japan, Launch Pad 2. Let's see, the H3 rocket will launch on its first test flight with the Advanced Land Observing Satellite 3, or ALOS 3, for the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency. Also named KADI 3, will capture high-resolution, wide swath images of all of the world's land surfaces, providing data for applications in disaster management, land use, urban sprawl, scientific research, and coastal and vegetation environmental monitoring. The H3 rocket is for Test Flight 1, or TF1, and will fly in H3S configuration with 2 first-stage engines, 2 strap-on solid rocket boosters, and a short payload fairing. And I'll give one more here. March 8th, 9th will be, oh boy, another Falcon 9. This with the SES-18 and 19. This will launch from SLC-40, Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. The SES-18 and 19 are communication satellites for SES of Luxembourg. 18 and 19, built by Northrop Grumman, will provide C-band television and data services over the United States. The Falcon 9's first stage booster will land on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. And there's plenty more where those came from. I'm going to stop now, and we'll see if we got Miss Billy back. So this is KE5ICX, back to net control. Okay, that's unusual. I think this is the first time in the many years that Billy's been net control where we've had some sort of audio problem. It's always been temporary, but tonight I can't seem to raise her over on Echolink, which is how she's transmitting. So I'll just continue on. Hopefully she can get back in. We have recent astronomical discoveries. This would normally be done by Brenda, WB50ZL. She has been in the hospital and is due to return soonish. We're not sure exactly when. She is doing fine, recovering from surgery she had about a week ago. So we wish her well and hope she comes back soon. So I'm taking over her responsibility chores this evening, and the topic that I picked is new discovery sheds light on a very early supermassive black hole. So I'll just go into a little bit of this. I won't read the whole article because we're running short on time. It says astronomers from the University of Texas and Arizona have discovered a rapidly growing black hole in one of the most extreme galaxies known in the very early universe. The discovery of the galaxy and the black hole at its center provides new clues on the formation of the very first supermassive black hole. This is from a new work published by Monthly Notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. Using observations taken from the Atacama, that the galaxy named COS 87259, containing the new supermassive black hole, is very extreme, forming stars at the rate of 1,000 times that of our own Milky Way, containing over 1 billion solar masses worth of interstellar dust. The galaxy shines bright from both this intense burst of star formation and the growing supermassive black hole at its center. The black hole is considered to be a new type of primordial black hole, one heavily enshrouded by cosmic dust, causing nearly all of its light to be emitted in the mid-infrared range of electromagnetic spectrum. Researchers have also found that this growing supermassive black hole, frequently referred to as an active giant galactic nucleus, is generating a strong jet of material moving at near light speed through the host galaxy. Today, black holes with masses millions, billions of times greater than that of our own sun sit at the center of nearly every galaxy. How these supermassive black holes first formed remains a mystery for scientists, particularly because of several of these objects have been found when the universe was very young. That's recently been discovered. Because the light from these sources takes so long to reach us, we see them as they existed in the past. In this case, just 750 million light years after the Big Bang, which is approximately 5% of the current age of the universe. What is particularly astounding about this new object is that it was identified over a relatively small patch of sky typically used to detect similar objects, less than 10 times the size of a full moon, suggesting there should be thousands of similar sources of the very early universe. This is completely unexpected.
I'm completely operational, and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
Afterglow Movie Net.
The only other class of supermassive black holes we knew about in the very early universe are quasars, which are active black holes that are relatively unobscured by cosmic dust. These quasars are extremely rare at distances similar to COS 87259, with only a few tens located over the full sky. The surprising discovery of COS 87259 and its black hole raises several questions about the abundance of very early supermassive black holes, as well as the types of galaxies in which they typically form. Ryan Ensley, the lead author of the paper and now a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Texas at Austin, says, these results suggest that very early supermassive black holes were often heavily obscured by dust, perhaps as a consequence of the intense star formation activity in their host galaxies. This is something others have been predicting for a few years now, and it's really nice to see the first direct observational evidence supporting this scenario. Similar types of objects have been found in more local present-day universe, such as ARP 299, shown here, which I do have a picture of it. In this system, two galaxies are crashing crashing together, generating an intense outburst as well as a heavy obscuration of a growing supermassive black hole. While nobody expected to find this kind of object in this very early universe, its discovery takes a step towards building much better understanding of how billions of solar mass black holes were able to form so early in the lifetime of the universe, as well as how the most massive galaxy first evolved. And that's it for recent astronomical discoveries. So let me try one more time, see if Miss Dooley is there to close the net. KSI PDS, are you there from KE5ICX?
Tom, I am here. Did you do a final check-in round? If please go ahead and do one, and then final count for this evening's net. This is KSI.
All right, I can do that. Definitely, you're a little bit in and out of the repeater. Your audio is just a little bit weaker than normal tonight, or at least in the second part of the net. So just to let you know that, in case you can make any adjustments towards the end. All right, this is last call. Anyone who would like to join us for Skynet this evening, please come now with your call sign, your name, and where you're transmitting from. Last call.
Kilo Bravo 9, Sarah Kilo, Sean in Fort Worth.
All right, we picked up our final check-in, KB9SOK. That's Sean over in Fort Worth. Miss Billy, we're up to 2424 from KE5ICX.
That we have 24 hams participating on the air tonight, so thank you to all who checked in this evening. We hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're always looking for net control stations for this and all the other DARC nets. If you would like to try your hand at this, contact any of the net controls by sending an email to nets@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussion about this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video streams, video archives, and other useful internet resources by going to w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. So until next Saturday night, this is KF5 PDS Billy. I'll be closing the net at 22:34 local time and returning the repeater to normal amateur use. 73, everybody, and enjoy the evening discovering the universe. And stick around in a few minutes. The Afterglow movie net will get started after a short break. So enjoy that net and have a good evening. 73, everybody.
Very good, and thank you, Miss Billy. And she is correct. We will be back to discuss 1 million years BC from 1966 with Raquel Welch and some other people. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes. So go do what you need to do and return, and we will be discussing this fine film from 1966. This is KE5ICX. All right, it is now time, what you've all been waiting for. Well, some of you have been waiting for. Well, a very few are waiting for, but even still, it's time. We're going to be discussing tonight's movie, which is 1 million years BC. So get ready. This will be an opportunity. This fine film, which was produced in 1966, was an adventure fantasy film by Don Chaffee. The film was produced by Hammer Films Productions, 7 Arts. It's a remake of the American fantasy film from 1940 called 1 Million BC. Stars Raquel Welch, Verdon Richardson, set in the fictional age of cavemen and dinosaurs coexisting together. Location scenes were filmed in the Canary Islands in the middle of winter in 1965. UK release prints of this film were printed in dye-transfer Technicolor. US version released in 20th Century Fox was cut by 9 minutes, printed in deluxe color, and released in 1967. The original film is largely, and this is a remake, is ahistorical. It portrays dinosaurs and humans living at the same point in time. According to geologic time scale, the last non-avian dinosaurs became extinct 66 million years ago. Modern humans did not exist until 300,000 years BC. Ray Harryhausen, who animated all the dinosaur attacks using stop-motion animation techniques, commented on the U.S. King Kong DVD that he did not make 1 million years BC for professors who probably wouldn't go see these kinds of films anyway. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to give you the plot. This is essentially what it says here from Wikipedia. The men of the dark-haired Auriga tribe, led by Chief Akahoba, who was accompanied by his rivaling sons Tumak and Sakana, capture and kill a warthog and return to share it with the rest of the tribe. Tumak and Akahoba fight over the meat, and Akahoba banishes Tumak to the harsh desert. After surviving several encounters with various prehistoric creatures, Tumak collapses on a remote beach and is spotted by Loana and other women of the fair-haired Shell tribe. Joined by some of the men from the tribe, Loana rescues Tomac from the Archeon, which is driven into the sea. Tarmac is taken to the Shell's tribe village, where he discovers they are more civilized and advanced than the Rock tribe. Tumak rescues a small girl from an attack of the Allosaurus, endearing him to Loana. However, Tumak is banished from the village after he fights Shell tribe member Ahat for possession of the spear Tumak used to fight the creature. Loana decides to accompany Tumak, and Ahat surrenders the spear to Tumak in a gesture of goodwill. Meanwhile, Sakana tries to seize power by killing Akahoba. Akahoba survives, but is a broken man as Sakana becomes the new leader. Tumak with Loana in tow wanders back to the Rock tribe camp, but again there are altercations. They eventually witness an epic fight between Triceratops and Ceratosaurus after they encountered and are chased by one of them. The most erratic fight is the fight between Tumak's current love interest, Loana, and his former lover, Napandi. Loana wins the fight, but refuses to strike the killing blows despite the encouragement from other members of the tribe. Sakana resents Tumak and Loana's attempt at incorporating Shell tribe ways into their culture. While the Rock tribe is swimming, the female Pteranodon attacks and snatches Leona to feed her to her offspring. However, the Rock'em Sock'em robot intervenes, and a fight ensues. You try and say that. Leona is dropped into the sea and makes to the shore. At first, Tumak mistakenly believes Leona is dead, but they are soon reunited. If this movie ever ends, Sakana leads a group of like-minded fellow hunters in an armed revolt against Akahoba. Tumak, Ahak, and Leona and other members of the Shell tribe arrive and join the fight against Sakana. In the midst of the battle, a volcano suddenly erupts. Thankfully, members of both tribes are killed by either the effects of the volcano or by their attackers. Akana is speared to death, and Akana is crushed by a falling rock. Tumak, Liana, and the surviving members of both tribes emerge from the desolation and jointly set off to find a new home where there are no dinosaurs, with Tumak as the new leader. The end. A fini. No more to be seen. After that, you probably sat through the movie, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and discuss this, but first I have to check you all in. So if you've seen the movie, or even if you haven't, and you'd like to check in and weigh in on 1 million years BC, a movie over 1 million years in the making, this is your opportunity to do so now. Please come now with your call sign, your name, and did you see 1 million years BC? We're starting now.
I guess I'll admit it. This is Tony, NT5TM, here in East Dallas, and I've seen most of it.
Kilo Bravo 9, Sarah Kilo, Sean in Fort Worth. Yes, I see this historical event.
Whiskey 9 Victor Papa Uniform in Sam and Allen, Texas, and I have not seen the movie, just dropping in.
Golf 5 Bravo Zulu Whiskey Charioteer Wilford, I did beautiful.
Okay, let me get those. We've got NT5TM, Tony in East Dallas. He reluctantly says yes. And I got KB9SOK, that's Sean in Fort Worth. He enthusiastically says yes. And we've got a new guy. This would be Sam, W9VPU, over in Allen, Texas. He says no, he did not see the film. But don't worry, Sam, we won't forget you because you'll have a wonderful opportunity to give your comments on our comments. So be ready. It's coming. KG5BZW, that's Jay near Weatherford. Yes, he saw the movie. Additional folks would like to check in. We're talking about 1 million years BC from 1966. Not a billion years ago, but from 1966. If you'd like to join us, please come with your call sign name. Did you see this film? Well, it may be a small group tonight. I had some trouble with this film myself. I did not see the whole thing because I was so tired Friday night that I could not stay awake. And considering the lack of dialogue, it didn't seem like it was going anywhere, you know. What's the episode with Bonk Bonk on the Head with Star Trek? That would have been more interesting, but at any rate. So we'll just go in order, starting with Tony. So we'll start with the plot. And then I'll ask for check-ins at the bottom of the list as well, so you can, in case there's other people, stragglers coming in after a Excedrin headache. So here we go. Tony, NT5TM. Tony, what did you think about the plot for 1 million years BC from KE5ICX?
A beginning is a very delicate time. Know then that it is the year 10,191. The known universe is ruled by the Parashah Emperor Shaddam IV, my father. In this time, the most precious substance in the universe is the spice melange. The spice extends life. The spice expands consciousness. And that's, oh boy, what clunky narration this movie opened with. You know, narration is always a bad sign. I love the David Lynch tune, but I do completely understand why most people hate it. And that opening narration is a wonderful microcosm of why both movies have so many problems. Of course, this movie's opening narration, which contained most of the movie's actual dialogue, was even worse than that from David Lynch's Doom. Now, I didn't despise this movie as much as I expected to. It was possible to follow the protagonist. Go here, do this, get in a fight there. Go here, do that, get in a fight there. Come back, get in some more fights. It was more comprehensible than I expected. It was really head-scratchingly implausible. Even given, let's say, dinosaurs. People who can't work together any better than this, I just don't understand how they invented makeup on the push-up bra and orthodontia, because they clearly invented all those things, but yet they couldn't manage to get along for 2 minutes without trying to kill each other. So I'm deeply suspicious of any movie with narration. It's a few movies, like Gettysburg from 1993, have overcome that by having the narration being very well done and kind of minimal. But most don't, and this was no exception. Opening narration is usually a bad sign, and it presages a movie that's hard to follow. I followed this better than I thought I could, and I'll have more comments about characters and special effects later, which is really what this movie was about. But yeah, even though I could follow it, I couldn't approve of it. It's like, come on, can't you even, I don't know, cook a dinner together or something? We have much better teamwork on field day. NT5TM.
All right, well, apparently you did like it, but not as much as some of the earlier films that we've seen this year. So that's fine, Tony. It's good. But by the way, there is a worse version of Dune, of the same one from, 1980-something, 84, I guess. But it is the cable version of it with even more narration. And it is so bad that it has director Alan Smithy listed. That's how bad it is. And if you can sit through that, you can sit through anything. Okay, next up is Sean, KB9SOK. Sean, what'd you think of the film? Was it A-OK? Just like your call sign from KE5ICX.
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Well, as Tony stated there at the beginning, when the narration started, I got bad feelings about it. And in fact, I kind of chuckled, and I remind me of the speech that you gave a couple weeks ago, Tom, about narration. And usually it's not a good sign. So this movie was not off to a good start. If you watch this, you wonder, how did humankind ever make it from then? Same thing. This movie was boring. It was just really, basically we had, seemed like 100 fights between everything from tortoises to tarantulas to dinosaurs to pterodactyls to, pretty much everything got fought somewhere in this movie. So basically we start out with the brothers arguing. One gets basically thrown off a cliff, decides to go off and, look for grass greener on the other side, which he found. He found this nice tribe that seemed to get along with each other and was much more advanced, and they laughed and seemed like we're having fun. And so what does he do? After they save his life, he tries to steal from them. Once again, this is supposed to be our hero, remind you. But even after that, after he fought one of their top people, they still let him take the spear. Once again, it seemed like a very nice place. Why he'd want to go back to that other horrible place, I have no idea. But yet he did, and for some reason, our leading lady decided she wanted to go with him. I guess because he had dark hair instead of blonde? I don't know, but so she followed him. He literally drug her through hell and back just to get her to a place that wasn't very nice, where they didn't really want them. As our narrations point at the beginning of it, humans were all separated in their own tribes and never met each other. So what's he do? He also starts our very first war between groups. And then in the end, they have this massive battle, volcano blows up, and then essentially, I guess, they were supposed to go back to the nice area. They never really say. They just show them walking off into the hazy sky after the volcano blew up. So, yeah, this thing was definitely, I try not to read reviews or anything before I watch these things, and I didn't, but I did see the number of stars that this movie was given, and it seemed like it was pretty well liked. Any dialogue, I just actually set it to 1.5 speed just to speed things up a little bit, because it was just, yeah, it was just kind of boring. You know, maybe this was cutting edge back then, but I don't know. This one was just kind of a snoozer. Just not a whole lot, like you said, without the dialogue. I mean, you can understand the gist of everything, but and I know it takes a lot of effort to do that, but I don't know. This one just wasn't particularly a good one, I don't think. At least not for me anyway. Not into this kind of movie, but well, I'll say at least I guess I made it through it. So yeah, back to that KB9. That's okay.
All right, well, very good. Another enthusiastic thumbs up. This is a great film, and you would see it over and over again. It is a cult classic, so you're right about that. Everybody loved it. The reason why people like this film, Sean, is very simple. One name, two words, Raquel Welch. That's the only reason why people like this film. Everybody had the pin-up of Raquel and the fur bikini thing. That's what made it popular. Everybody went to go see it because Raquel Welch. Just saying, that's what it's about. Now go get your pin-up. It's available. Next up is Sam. Now, Sam didn't see the film, but let me go ahead and ask him. Sam, if you're still there, and I bet you are, please tell us, what do you think about the idea of a caveman movie with no dialogue? And which caveman movie have you seen with no dialogue that you like the best from KE5ICX? Go ahead. Oh man, I must have scared him off. But Sam, if you're out there, it's okay. I'm not picking on you. We do this all the time. Anybody who hasn't seen the movie needs to be drugged down into the tar pit with the dinosaurs, involving fine films when they turn out to be this good. All right, I will move down to J, KG5BZW. Jay, what did you think of the plot for 1 million years BC? KE5ICX.
This KG5BZW. Yeah, it would have been okay maybe as a graphic novel. As a movie, it is so tedious. I ended up going at not just 1.5 speed, I was going 2x speed, but then I was actually seeking to do it faster. Well, that's a long story about, well, okay, I'll use this film as a experiment for string setup between computers and whatnot, and yeah, that's how much interested I was in this film. I really wasn't interested in. I actually started watching it last night. It was hard to get through that first 20 minutes. And I was like, no. Let's see. Quite sure what to say about it. You got these really cool visual effects. You got Raquel Welch. You got a story that, I have to admit, you have to be kind of brave to try to pull off a story without much dialogue, but I know there's been films that have done that better than this, but I actually enjoyed. In fact, think of it, I was just watching anyway, it wasn't a full feature-length film, it was a short. So that's kind of hard to compare that one. But it was something on YouTube that I loved. But, there's... I don't know how... what's his name? I don't know how it is.
Shut up!
Little carrot... I was hearing something on the radio. I don't know how his little because that just did not make much sense. That whole setup did not make much sense. Granted, I realized I was probably made to contrast with the other group, but whatever. It just. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was weird. Looking forward to it just because, I don't know, maybe because of the, Raquel, one of these days I'll pronounce it right, Raquel Welch, but, and, I don't know, I was reading something where there's just, you know, like a cult favorite, but, I don't know why, really. Pretty disappointed. I'll leave it. Bad BCW.
Okay, thank you, Jay. And we're at the bottom of the list. I'll go ahead and ask, is there anyone else who would like to join us this evening? Tonight's movie, 1 Million Years BC from 1966. If you'd like to join us, please come with your call sign, your name. Did you see this film? Okay, silence. Well, let's see. What have I got to say about the film? Well, I think everything's been said. When it's a film with absolutely new dialogue, no dialogue except at the very beginning of the film, you gotta really wonder. And that dialogue, and yes, it's true, I've said this many times, if there's narration at the beginning of the film, you're in trouble because the film should be able to stand on its own without any you know, booster seats or anything to make the thing work, so that usually is a bad sign. Let's see, bumping and spearing and stop action and stuff. The one thing that was kind of, well, no, that's special effects, I won't go into that, but I'm kind of speechless myself on this one. I really don't have much to say because what are you going to do? You're going to fight the dinosaurs. That's the thing. Those are the scenes that you get. And Raquel Welch. So you got dinosaurs and Raquel Welch. What more do you want? Well, Jurassic Park is currently all you need, and you're going to have Raquel Welch in it. So instead of just giving you that, I'm going to instead give you the lyrics to Yours World, which was a wonderful film that actually had music to it and had a caveman in the future. And its main theme song had words, and it went, Yours World, he's the man. Yours World, he's the man. Yours World. Lost the world of past with the echoes of ancient bless. Yours World. There is a man of future, a man of mystery. Yours World. No track to lead the way in his search for a yesterday. Yours World. Misty illusions hiding his famous destiny. Yours World. In case you didn't know, this is Yours World. Yours touch of fire. You're the crowd that we desire. He never seems to sleep. He's always on the run. Even his days are gone. They say he will go on. His search goes on and on. Yours world. He's the savior of Bade, yours world. And the world will set fire, and he's going to make all the wild beasts look tame tonight in his tribe. Yours world, he's the man. Yours world, he's the man. Yours world, he's the savior of flames. Yours world, and the world will set fire. Yours world, all on this slow, deathless walk, and the world will set fire. Yours world. I don't know what that means, but it was a better movie and it was more fun on Yours World. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to say about this one. So when it comes to the actual plot, such as it was, I'm not sure what you can do. I mean, even 2001: A Space Odyssey, the most boring part of the whole film was the very beginning with the apes, the simians, whatever they were, the humanoid-y things, walking around and, throwing bones in the air and all that. It didn't get interesting until it dissolved into a spacecraft. So, what are you going to do? I don't know. You got to have talking dinosaurs. Well, we could have talking dinosaurs, but you also need talking cavemen if you're going to put them in with the dinosaurs. I don't know, like Fred Flintstone, for example. All right, the next week offering is the cast of thousands, which really adds up to 6 people. We'll go through that one if you have, well, I'm sure you'll have the opportunity to say something. So we'll start with Tony, NT5TM. Tony, we're talking about characterization and acting in this fine film. What did you think? I'm sure you thought the dialogue was exceptional, so please go ahead and tell us what you think of 1 million years BC, the acting.
Really, the nicest thing I can say about the characters is at least they tried to share the eye candy. Yeah, Raquel Welch looked great, and she did have a variety of swimwear. And, I wish Brenda were here so she could comment on the strange implausibility of inventing the underwire push-up bra before you invented the bow and arrow. But she was by no means the only attractive person. And they did some justice with the men too. The men's clothes didn't do a very good job of covering up their legs either. They were all very barrel-chested and muscular, in the way that men were before Conan the Barbarian and the whole steroid era, when you were just supposed to look big and strong rather than like you'd been taking too many steroids for too long. So there was all the they had a lot of eye candy, and it was often hard to tell the characters apart. And I'm proud I wasn't the only one who sped this up. That's really all I can say about the characters. NT5TM.
Yeah, no kidding, Tony. I get it. I couldn't sit through the whole thing. I just had to go to bed. It was just, I was tired, and this movie was not. It's great for insomnia. All right, Sean, you're next. KB9SOK. Your thoughts on characterization and the acting for this fine film?
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Yeah, now Tony Leary took the words right out of my mouth. That was going to be my answer. It was just lots of eye candy, literally for everyone. That was really about it. And there was times that I had to laugh when Tony mentioned it's hard to tell apart. There was a few times during some of the fights I'm like, okay, who's who again? Not much in the way of acting. Lots of grunting, running around. So if that's acting, I guess that's okay. But yeah, this was a tough one. It's all about the eye candy, and I guess that's why I got the 4.5 stars out of 5. Which I guess that's enough. I guess maybe when I was maybe 12, 13 years old, I probably would have liked this better because it would have had, dinosaurs in it and lots of eye candy. I don't know. I'm not going to keep you all out. So back to net, KB9SOK.
All right, thank you, Sean. Yeah, what are you going to say about a bunch of grunting dinosaurs? Okay, next up is, Sam ran off. Oh, he could be listening. It's okay, Sam. I wasn't picking on you if you're still listening. Is just curious if you had comments. So, okay. Next up is J, KB5S, and BZW. Get my call signs correct. Jay, what did you think of the acting and characterization or acting and characterization from KE5ICX?
This is KQ5 BCW. Well, there's not much to say about about the acting because, I mean, you're judging a film and you're typically thinking about the dialogue and how that dialogue matches emotively or emotionally, emotive and emotionally. I guess it really is both ways. And when it's just a little bit of a few made-up words, a few exchanges of names in the log run. When it comes to this film, I just realized one of the reasons I like that short that I had mentioned, made reference to, I did not mention. It's amusing. It's completely amusing. There's humor throughout it. I can't find, I don't remember a single bit of humor in this film except for the oh-ha children, blah, blah, blah. It was just such a contrived scene. There's not really any effort of making anything funny, truly funny. And that might be this film's biggest failure. Because if there had been I'm reviewing what I saw. There's might have been a attempt. I'll take that my word back, but the humor failed. If it's another attempt, it's somewhere. I don't know. It was kind of a weird exchange that could be taken as humorous. I'd have to review the whole thing just to find it and say, oh, yeah, okay, they were trying to make some sort of funny something. But this film, there's hardly anything to relate to any of the characters. Guess the group that I don't know. I feel like think about this. It actually gives me a headache. I guess you could dig further, but I just don't want to dig. So I switch it to the next person. This is KG5 BGW. Back to that.
That's okay, Jay. There's not a lot to say about the characterization in this film, or the acting for that matter. Oh, what can I add? Not really a lot. Let's see. You got 6 characters, all of which, as Tony mentioned, there really is nothing really defining about any of them in the end. What do you say about the acting? I think one of the distractions is, and this may fall under unspecial effects, but one of the things is those terrible wigs they were wearing. That just looked really bad. Just dye their hair blonde, I don't care, whatever it is you're supposed to do to make that work, but here, let's just do something completely different. Did you ever notice on science fiction movies and certain cavemen movies where you have a group or a tribe, right? And in science fiction, of course, it's an entire planet where everybody has the same hairstyle, wears the same uniform, talk the same way, have a unified government that also have all of their leaders wearing the same uniforms with a couple of extra little bangle things and maybe a tall hat or something, and that somehow or another makes them better. And they talk very loudly compared to the other ones in the same drab uniforms that they're wearing. That's kind of what just struck me with all of this. They're just sort of doing their thing, and the hierarchical part of it was sort of boring. The older people were really grumpy, and the younger people were very aggressive, and nobody really cared. Nobody. Not me, not you, not the audience. And the people who do care about this, when they were in their teens in 1966, are now our age or older, don't care either. So I guess the bottom line is we don't care. Wigs are wigs. The uniforms are all the same. That's all I got to say, because I don't know what to say about this acting. It's just like, okay, they're cave people-ish. What's going to make cave persons? What do you call them? Cave people. That's it. Neutral. Learned about that this week. Cave people. So there you have it. All right. I'll go ahead and ask. I know nobody's going to step up to the plate and say I am Spartacus, but I'll try anyways. Anybody want to check into the net? We're talking about 1 million years BC from 1966 with Raquel Welch. We did this film because this was in honor of poor Raquel, and now she's spinning in her grave. Very, because they're making fun of her movie. So please come with your call, your name, did you see this fine film? This is KE5ICX. Go ahead.
Kilo India 5, Kilo Whiskey Golf, cruise in Arlington.
Well, it's about time. If we're going to suffer, you should suffer with us, cruise. KI5KWG. You didn't tell us if you saw the film. Did you see the film? You got to say yes.
I saw enough of it. KI5KWG.
I'm not letting you off the hook that quickly. You got to tell us. First off, you missed the first round, so you're late. That means you don't get any fruit cup. So you have to tell us. What did you think of the film as far as the plot was concerned? And we're talking about the people in the really bad wigs as far as characterization and acting. So go ahead, combine the two any way that you want.
KI5KWG, I don't need a fruit cup. I just had my hot chocolate with a shot of bourbon, and it was delicious. As for the film, I've seen this one, I think, 4 times this year, but it keeps having a different title. But it has, fortunately, the same bikini. I don't know what happened in the 1950s where they rediscovered caveman fashion from that long ago, but I'm glad they did. Raquel Welch was beautiful. My brother had that poster in his room when I was about 13 or so, and I remember her fondly. I'm not a big fan of this type of film, and it's just been done ad nauseum. And I mean, the same. Well, y'all know. Y'all been through these before with me, so I wasn't going to continue suffering through it after I realized it was the same thing. This is actually the first time I ever saw this film, or part of it. You talked about the starting with the narration is a bad sign. I do count on words to tell a story. Now, that's not always the case. The General with Buster Keaton is an outstanding film, and it does a wonderful job of telling a story. And it's probably in my top 20 films of all time. This just didn't have a story to tell. It was told in the opening sequences, I think, and you really didn't need that much more of it to give you the idea of what they were doing. So so it was starring Raquel Welch in her bikini. And that was not a bad thing, but enough is enough of this kind of tropish film. And then they redid it with Ringo Starr, didn't they? Barbara Bach. My word. Anyway, to Raquel Welch's credit, I think the first film I ever saw, no, Fantastic Voyage was the first Raquel Welch film I saw, and we reviewed that one too. But the next one I saw was Right to Die. And let me reset. And I thought she did a marvelous job of acting in that film. She apparently had come into her own. I think she was roughly 50 years old at that time, and really did a fine job in a dramatic role of a woman dying of disease. And it was a powerful performance, I thought. And I saw it once, and it affected me, and maybe because of what I was going through at that time. But I had a lot of respect for her from that point on. When you don't have lines, I don't know how to rate characterization, and ugh. You know, I don't know what to say about that. And again, the plot was animation. That's what I think I've got on this. KI5 KWG. Back to net.
N5 IMS.
N5 IMS, I dared you to come on and discuss this film, and here you are. Please go ahead and tell us. I know you love this film. I can sense it. I can sense it. Tell us only good things about this film, or try to. KE5 ICS.
Well, I'm not fully sure I can do that, particularly. I don't remember seeing this fine film, so I may have way in the past, from the age of the film and my age, I probably did see it at one time, if only to see Raquel running around in the fur bikini, but what have you. I definitely did see the poster, but you asked what caveman movie or dinosaur type movie without dialogue, what other one you could mention. There's Caveman, starring Ringo Starr. Now, it's not 100% without dialogue, but as they say on IMDb, it's without, I'm trying to find the exact quote, but it's something like without dialogue, just a bunch of grunts and ughs and what have you. And with my memory of Caveman, there was a little dialogue. I think there was one character that spoke in English, and about half of the lines he had at least one swear word in there. It's kind of where it was. Let me reset. Reading the featured review of Caveman, the first paragraph says, "If you're in the mood for some dumb fun, try this." And by this, they're talking about Caveman. Take the old Raquel Welch vehicle, 1 million BC, and make it even sillier and campier, and you have this fun nonsense. A goofy parody of dinosaur films, this flick never takes itself even the slightest bit seriously. So that might be my recommendation. Now, it's not science fiction. I think IMDb classifies it as comedy and romance. So, it may not exactly fit on this net, but it is a fun film to see, and does have the same basic plot, although a lot better. It doesn't start with with reciting, not necessarily dialogue, but kind of like Tony said earlier with Dune. You don't want a movie that does that. Well, this one doesn't. This one has more fun. N5 IMS back to net.
All right, thank you, JJ. And that may be what Jay was searching for in his discussion. It needed humor. Well, we had the movie, Caveman, with humor. That makes perfect sense, and that's why we've seen this movie before. Well, we've seen all caveman movies, cave people movies before. We just didn't realize that, you could actually make a good one if you really tried hard enough. So they did. And I have seen it. Thought about it for this net. Maybe we should. Maybe we shouldn't. I don't know. There's a lot of movies we shouldn't have watched, but we did. But we learned something. What lessons did we learn? To not make caveman movies, cave people movies. That's the first thing, I'm pretty sure. So there you have it. All right. Let's see. Yes, I dare to go down another round because there is one thing that might be pretty good about this movie, and that is some of the special effects. So we'll go ahead and do our third round. I will start with Tony and T5TM. Tony, what did you think of the special effects in 1 million years BC?
Well, thank you, Tom, and I'd also really like to thank Jay, because I think he hit the nail on the head with talking about the lack of humor. Even actual people who are fighting in real wars, where hundreds of thousands of people die in a year, find more humor in their lives than any character in this movie did. That was just such a strange gap. I mean, people laugh and sing as well as throw rocks at each other. But I did slow down the effects. I slowed down the movie back to normal speed for some of the things, like the big Triceratops fight. And I was really hoping to like the effects more than I did. They were, they were fun. That gave me some unintentional humor. Oh, look, a giant iguana is going to kill us all. But there's just this horrible, irresistible urge people who do stop motion have to not do enough frames, to make the motion too fast and too jerky. And I wish they would have outgrown that at some point, although I don't think they ever did. Because the lighting was often good and the focus was good, but man, just don't skimp on what an animator would call the tweens, or the tweening, the in-between frames you have to get between key moments. Use more frames. I wish they'd done that, because it could have been better. It was unintentionally humorous in a lot of places. NT5TM.
All right, thank you, Tony. I have some comments. I'm going to let everybody else speak first, because this is the one thing that we can put our teeth into. Let's see. Next up is Sean, KB9SOK. Sean, what did you think of the special effects for 1 million years BC?
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Well, had this movie actually been made in 1 million BC, I'd be impressed. But yeah, I agree with Tony. I was disappointed with the stop motion. I know that's kind of classic to have that almost skipping, but it did seem excessive. And I know they had a lot of scenes to do, but it just, I don't know. I was just a little disappointed in that as well. I mean, yes, the lighting was good, but the stop motion, it was just so obvious. And now when it's a stop motion film, it's one of those things where you kind of expect it and it don't bother you. But in this, they were trying to make it realism, and it just didn't work because of that. They definitely needed more frames. I agree, 100% on that. Well, other than that, they had the miniatures. We had the the explosions at the end and the rocks falling and all that was borderline acceptable. It was okay, but it once again was very obvious that it's what it was. But for the time, I guess that was okay. The costumes. Well, not much to the costumes, so therefore the budget had to be pretty low for that. So those were okay. The wigs were horrible, as was already mentioned. Now, one thing I wanted to bring up was the sound. Since you have no dialogue, the music and the sound needs to play an important part of this, because obviously, as we've seen in other movies, it can definitely move you, and it can definitely tell a story or help enhance the story. And in this one, it kind of, but not really. There are places that actually, quite honestly, the sound just got overwhelming. It was overdone. Every time we were at, quote-unquote, the original rock tribe, with the evil tribe, I mean, nuts. It was just so loud and overwhelming, and it was just got annoying after a while. I could see if they did that during just a dramatic scene, but they just kept doing it. And I actually found the audio annoying in this movie. So that, I was kind of disappointed with, because that's really the only tool they had to try to help the story, and it, in places it sort of did, but in other places it just got to be annoying. So unfortunately, the sound was very important in this, and it wasn't particularly done well. Or at least it didn't for me anyway. So that was somewhat disappointing on that. And really, that's about all there was for special effects, really. The big topic was the stop motion and I guess the miniatures, but here's what everyone else thought of the sound. Anyway, back to net, KB9 is okay.
All right, thanks, Sean. Let's see. Next up is Jay, KG5BZWJ. What'd you think of the special effects, music, anything you want to say about the film? Please go ahead from KE5ICX.
KG5BZW. Well, I'll grant the giant turtle effects, at least at 2x speed, look kind of nice. The dinosaur fights were kind of meh, but, way better than our films we've seen, so maybe a plus on that. But I have to say that the pterodactyl fight scene, I don't even understand the logic. Especially between the two pterodactyls just have. Oh God! It reminded me of two anime characters just fighting in the air with magic, just keeping each character hovering in the air somehow. Because how they supposedly flew, I was like, are these things hummingbirds or dragonflies? What is going on with that? I don't know. It certainly didn't fly by the way I would think a pterodactyl would fly. Not that I know, but we do have birds of prey and whatnot. Not birds of prey, birds of we do have those, but we also have vultures and stuff. But blank. Or is it? I'm losing myself here. That was and for the fact that Raquel was key eye candy in it. That was like the only part that saved that whole sequence. It was really kind of bad. I don't have much to say about music or anything else. I did notice that it kind of fit, and then of course it ended with explosions and everything, and said this before about some other film, but I'm still looking for the film that happened to have some of the effects that I had as a kid that confused me for a good 10 years. No, probably not 10, but it's just it's like, oh, that's what an earthquake is, and like, no, that's not what an earthquake is, unless you're like some sort of mega quake or something. Even then, that's I don't whatever. It's just stuff that happens, and I don't know. I guess it's like who was it? Was it Ray? It was saying he doesn't expect professors to analyze it, and what we kind of doing. I'm paraphrasing badly and probably misinterpreting it along the way, but anyway, just gonna leave it with a line because that's the way this film makes me feel, and I think using a line is more appropriate than actual words. KG5BZW.
Okie dokie, thank you, Jay. Next up is Cruz, KI5KWG. Cruz, your thoughts on special effects, or not so special effects, or anything else you want to bring up at this point. We're kind of near the end of the net, I think. Maybe not, you never know. So what'd you think from KE5ICX?
KI5KWG. I think it was during the iguana scene that I've seen this film. And I think that's when I stopped watching. So I did read some articles about it before, during my viewing, and noted that there was a lot of comments on the rather sophisticated for the time special effects with the dinosaurs, but or slash iguana, particularly in the scene that I didn't watch where she got dropped by the pterodactyl, I guess it was. Like I said, I didn't see it. I was done. It was late, I think. Anyway, it's been a rough week all around, but y'all don't need to hear that. So I'm going to finish there. KI5KWG, back to net.
All right, thank you, Cruz, and don't feel bad. I've mentioned more than once this evening I didn't make it all the way through the film, and I always make it through the film. Not in better shape, but I always make it through the films, except this one. Next up, JJ, N5IMS. JJ, your thoughts on special effects, music, I don't know, photography, whatever you want, or any comments that you didn't make on previous rounds. Go ahead from KE5ICX.
Well, since I didn't see this film, or at least remember seeing this film, I will refer back to Caveman and a special effect feature that they had on that. They were rolling a dinosaur egg, or they rolled a dinosaur egg off of a cliff onto a and then they had the shot from above of the volcano, and there was a perfectly cooked sunny side up egg, which of course they went in there and started eating, and made the association that maybe if we kill the dinosaurs we can eat them, and it would be good. Sure is better than eating just the plants and stuff that are around. So that's my comment as far as special effects. Not that they have anything to do with this film directly, but at least they're special effects. And it's a comment. It's N5IMS.
Well, thank you, JJ. And that's the point, isn't it, when you really think about it? When you can't say anything about the current film that we're discussing, there's some other better film that you can discuss that has a similar scene or scenes, or could be something that's done better. And that way, then, you can compare and contrast. This movie has nothing. The Emperor has no clothes. However, this film over here has an Emperor with clothes, which makes it a much better film, and probably with a sunny side up egg as well. So it's compare and contrast. And if there's nothing to compare and nothing to contrast, then you talk about something completely different. So it works. And we fill out the hour and a half of this net. So keep that in mind whenever you come up short. That's what I do. I mean, I've got right here, I can read you the whole opening narration of different things. You know, we got the story of long, long ago, it says, and we can do a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Who did it better? Was it 1 million years BC or Star Wars? I think we know the answer to that. BC, of course. All right. Now, my thoughts on the something Tony mentioned about not enough frames. And there's some truth to that. Remember, this is Ray Harryhausen. There's a couple of things with doing stop motion photography that you will note. And that is, first off, stop motion is, of course, a single frame. Now, Ray, and this, by the way, I got to see his exhibit. It was up in Oklahoma City. I actually had to drive up there separately because I was about to go in while I was still on the road, and I got a phone call from my boss, and the next day I was in Houston. So I never got to go in and see the exhibit while I was on the road. I actually had to drive up there 3 hours and go see the Ray Harryhausen exhibit, which was really great. And then 3 hours home that same day. It's fine by me. I like Ray Harryhausen. But the thing about it is, you look at the maquettes or the puppets and that you're using, and you have to move it a little bit. Well, a very little bit for extra frames is extremely difficult to do. And if you do it too much, of course, then it moves around. So if you have a bunch of frames and you're trying to move it even less, which is on one of these articulated body things, it's really hard to do. It is very, very difficult. So it's the best you can do with that, Mary said. The second thing that plays into it is that, and this is a common complaint with movie files, movie aficionados who watch on televisions like we do, large-scale televisions, and that has to do with how you perceive a film. Now, in an extreme, if you go and you watch a film, and when I got a television that had the interpolation part, which is the one I've got here in the living room now, the one previous to this did not have that. Essentially what happens is regular films that you enjoy, that you would see in movie theaters, say, before the digital age, are smoother. And they take on the appearance of videotape rather than film. So even at higher frame rates, you still perceive that framing in such a way that you get blurring on screen, for example, during fight scenes and things like that, which is what we're used to. We both see it that way in some ways, and we expect our films to be that way. Sometimes the blurring would suggest speed, rapid movement, whatever, and we use that, and that sensory thing happens in our head, and it gives us the perception of something moving rapidly. When you're doing stop action, or stop motion, I should say, you don't have that. You have a single clear image followed by another clear image followed by another clear image. And so if they're separated by enough movement in the frames, it looks herky-jerky. It becomes the signature Ray Harryhausen look. Also, in order to make that stuff work, I think, and it was mentioned by somebody, you really have to light that stuff up, too. So everything has to, in order to get depth of field in that, you have to reduce your aperture and increase the lighting, so you get very, very sharp images. And if they do that, and I believe they do that to help to render a more realistic, larger version of whatever they're doing, and on a very small field, you would end up with blurriness in the picture because the large apertures suggest a focus on a particular area, part of depth of field, if I remember my camera days. So you gotta keep that in mind. So it just amplifies that by throwing so much light at it, and the sharpness of the images shows the herky-jerkiness, so it just aggravates it even more. But with that being said, if you go to the internet, and I didn't look it up tonight, but I know it's there, you'll find somebody has taken and re-rendered Ray Harryhausen special effects. I think 1 Million Years BC is the one that he did, and added computer image smoothing, which allows the stop action to not look so herky-jerky. When you look at it, it is much better. It is much better, but it also still looks sort of like a large puppet. But it is better, and that's, I think, the reason why it's so difficult to watch. And even today, even with the best of special effects, if you're using the maquette and the puppet part of it, it's going to still look herky-jerky because you're still limited by the same thing. Unless you employ digital special effects to it, in which case then you're doing a combination. Now, I could go on and on about that. There have been also special effects where they've done that. We discussed that one time. I think Bill and 5BB mentioned it when we watched The Hunt for Red October, where that film has digital rendering in it, and it has physical models. And at that time, when that movie came out, there wasn't a lot of heavyweight digital effects. You couldn't do them because the computers weren't there yet to render whole scenes. But they did render things like the propeller wash and things like that in order to make it look more convincing using real models, and that helped to take care of the beauty passes and things like that, and made it look very, very good. So you can go in that direction as well. So that's what I wanted to talk about on image smoothing about the film itself. Now, the special effects, I agree with everyone. It didn't look as good, but think back to other films after that Harryhausen had done, and you'll see that they were better and entertaining, but they still fall into the stop-action herky-jerky. So you're kind of taken out of the moment no matter whether that assisted him. He did them in-house. In fact, he did a lot of these at his house, not only in-house, but in-house at his home. Using one of the bedrooms there, I think is how he managed it. And most of the stuff that they found for this exchange was from this show that I went to, came from two personal storage things that they found all this stuff. He kept everything and reused a lot of it in other films because it took a while to build it and cost money. And when you go and look at that stuff, the detail is just astonishing. It is artwork to the nth degree. He's a very talented guy and very imaginative in what he did, and very diligent to be able to do this. To do 24 frames of film takes a while for 1 second of film. I think it's 24 frames. It takes a long time to do 10-minute scenes. Days. He did them all himself. So you got to give him credit. All right, that's it on that part. I'll go ahead and open it up just for this. If there's anything else you want to bring to the net this evening, this is your opportunity to do so. If you're out there and you're listening and you haven't had a chance to check in and you'd like to and talk about the film, maybe briefly, but to talk about the film or any other comments, then now is the time. So I'll just open it up. Anybody have any comments? I'll take you in the order that I get your calls on. Does anyone have anything they want to bring? Tell me now. Okay, well, you're hearing nothing. Here we go. You're going to love this one after seeing Raquel Welch in 1 Million Years BC. Next week's movie is Galaxina from 1980, and it reads as follows from 2D TV. A sexy blonde android helms the crew of an interstellar space cruiser on its 27-year mission to find a mystical gem with limitless powers. I'll send you all the information. If you're on the email list, I'm sure most of you are, you will find the link to the movie. It is on Tubi TV, so we'll have some ads, but it'll be a freebie, and that'll be next week's film. Otherwise, go check it on the Facebook page, Afterglow Movie. That's 2 words, Afterglow and Movie, and you can sign up there and find all of the films. Upcoming Afterglow movies are there under the, what did I put it under? The guides, under guides. That was the easiest way I could do it after they took away some of the features. So just look there and you'll find a bunch of movies and links. If you want to see them ahead of time, you can go ahead and do that. I think I got 7, 8, 9 new movies listed in there that are poised for viewing. So that's it from me. 7-3, everybody. I had a good time. We still managed to make it almost 90 minutes, more like 80, something like that. Maybe a little less. We'll see you next time. Enjoy the conversation, even with the bad movies. This is KE5ICX. I am now clear.